It's 7 o'clock. Let's call the March 11th, 2025 Town Council meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Brian, will you lead it?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Right now, we're going to do some presentations. We have two proclamations to be read. Both people are not here tonight, but I did have the honor of presenting Chief Higley his proclamation for his retirement and his service to the town, and I was able to go celebrate the 100th birthday for Laura Carrier. So, Amy, will you read the proclamation, please, for Chief Higley?
Yes. Whereas Richard Higley Sr. officially became a member of the Tungus Hose Fire Department when he signed the Tungus Hose Fire Department Constitution in February 2001, and honorably served as volunteer firefighter until his retirement as chief on November 18th, 2024. And whereas Richard Higley Sr. began his career as a firefighter by serving as a cadet for the Simsbury Fire Department. He later joined the Burlington Fire Department, where he served as chief for many years, and after relocating his family to Farmington, joined Tungus Hose Fire Department, where he rose through the ranks, serving as captain of Engine 5 from 2002 to 2004, deputy chief from 2004 to 2008, assistant chief 2008 to 2012, and was elevated to chief 2012 through 2024. And being a current member of the Tungus Hose Fire Department, volunteers his time to respond to emergencies. And whereas Richard Higley Sr. was awarded the Meritorious Service Award, which is presented when a life has been saved, on March 23rd, 2014, February 27, 2016, and June 12, 2023, and was honored for his accomplishments by being named Firefighter of the Year in 2009 and 2024, and after demonstrating a special skill on a specific call, presented with the Best Use of Technical Skills Award. And whereas Richard Higley Sr. resides in Farmington with his wife Cheryl, has two sons, Richard Higley Jr., who is a regular member of the Tungus Hose Fire Department, and Zach Higley, who is a social member of Tungus Hose Fire Department and a firefighter in Bristol, Connecticut. And whereas Richard Higley Sr. focused on the public good and acted to protect the public interest while donating countless hours of time, energy, and personal commitment to enrich the lives of residents of the town of Farmington. Now, therefore, the Farmington Town Council hereby commends Richard Higley Sr. for his exceptional achievements on behalf of the community, and we hereby thank him for his immeasurable contribution and unwavering dedication to the town of Farmington and its residents. Dated at Farmington, Connecticut, this 11th day of March 2005. Joe Capodiferro, Chair, Farmington Town Council.
Thank you very much, Amy. And again, thank you very much, Chief Higley, for all your years of service to our community, and we wish you the best of luck on your new adventures. Sarah.
Okay. This proclamation is for Laura Carrier. Whereas Laura Carrier was born on March 3rd, 1925, in Grand Falls, New Brunswick, Canada, and married Lawrence Carrier in Presque Isle, Maine, in June 1947, and became a United States citizen in 1952. And whereas Laura raised 5 children, namely Alice, Annette, Pat, Donna, and Lawrence, and is blessed with 4 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren. And whereas Laura's primary career was a homemaker, she briefly worked at Eaton's department store in California, Packwright, and Henry J. Burnett. And whereas Laura's hobbies include gardening, quilting, and baking, in her late 70s, she began running in half marathons, competing well into her 80s, and was known to encourage and assist folks along the route. And whereas in her retirement at Masonic Care at Middlewoods of Farmington, Laura is known to be a tender-hearted soul who always extends the hand of friendship to anyone. And whereas Laura walks 5 to 10 miles daily around the Masonic Care campus and encourages residents recovering from serious illness to join her on her walks, she also assists residents in getting involved in community activities. And whereas Laura is known to be a very kind person, she gives without expecting anything in return. She shows respect to everyone, encourages and uplifts others, and is a blessing to all who are lucky enough to know her. Now, therefore, be it resolved, we hereby wish Laura Carrier a very happy 100th birthday and officially declare March 3rd, 2025 as Laura Carrier Day in Farmington. Dated at Farmington, Connecticut, this 11th day of March 2025, Joe Capitaferro, Chair, Farmington of Town Council. Say happy birthday to Laura.
Happy birthday again, Laura, and thank you very much. We move on to now D, public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Legal notice, Town of Farmington public hearing. A public hearing will be held on Tuesday, March 11th, 2025 at 7:10 PM in the Town Hall Council Chambers on the Town Manager's 2025-2026 recommended budget, dated at Farmington, Connecticut, this 27th day of February, 2025. Kathleen A. Blonsky, Town Manager.
Thank you.
Good evening. Tonight I present for your review the Town Manager's recommended budget for the fiscal year 25-26. General Fund Budget. The General Fund Budget includes recommended spending for the town, for Farmington Public Schools, for debt service, and for capital improvements. The recommended budgets for Westwoods Golf Course, recreation, and solid waste collection and disposal will also be discussed. Policy Guidelines. When developing this budget, the Town Council's budget target, the town strategic plan, and capital improvement policy, along with long-term financial forecasting, were the primary policy guidelines taken into account. Based on my request at the February 25th, 2025 Town Council meeting, the Town Council gave consensus for an updated budget target of 3.5% above current expenditures. With the original target of 3%, the budget presented would have significantly reduced services and included layoffs. Furthermore, fixed costs alone, such as personnel benefits and utility costs, are significantly higher than a 3% increase. Budget drivers. This year's budget has had its challenges. This is not unexpected based on the town's long-term financial forecast, which predicted increased debt service due to the high school building project. Overarching budget drivers this year include increased personnel and contractual cost, increased calls for service in the fire department, and additional facilities to maintain and operate, including the 1928 building and the town hall annex. Expenditure summary. The total recommended budget for the fiscal year 25-26 is $136,956,169, which sees an increase of $8,355,004, or 6.5% above the current budget. The Board of Education has a 4.65% expenditure, town operations 3.5%, debt service 20.04%, capital outlay 48.99%, and Board of Ed defined contribution 7.36%. Town operation by category. I've separated the budget by category, which includes the areas of general administration, public safety, public works, community and recreation, and other. The general administration account shows an increase of 5%. The public safety account shows an increase of 1.13%. Public works shows an increase of 6.09%. Community and recreation shows a 15.93% increase. Other shows an increase of 2.68%. I am recommending a town budget of $36,247,415, an increase of $1,225,758, or 3.5% above current expenditures. The expenditures increases are due to several factors, some areas to note. In general, this budget does not include any new services, new equipment, or new positions, and many accounts have been reduced. Contractual obligations and overall personnel costs townwide have increased due to the current job market and an effort to attract and retain employees. This budget includes funding for a full-year funding for a recreation director in accordance with the town strategic plan. Last year, this position was only funded for half a year. We are able to continue with part-time seasonal help in the highway and police department due to grant funding, so there is no seasonal help funded in the operating budget. It should be noted that this is the last year of this grant, and if continuation of this service is desired, it will need to be added back into the budget in the future. This budget funds only one seasonal employee at the Westwoods Golf Course. Previous budgets eliminated the second position, and we were unable to bring it back in this budget. This required us to transfer a highway and grounds employee to the golf course, which reduces services in the highway department. The Registrar of Voters account has increased due to the early voting mandate. This increase includes salaries, staffing, supplies, and equipment for early voting events. The Personal Services account covers salary adjustments for non-unionized employees and unionized employees who do not have a collective bargaining agreement in place for the next year at this time, which is the police and fire contracts. Townwide contractual services accounts overall have increased significantly. Building repair and maintenance contracts have increased by 23.20%. The contribution to the Farmington Library is $3,058,300, which is a 2.8% increase above current budget levels. Utility accounts have increased significantly throughout the budget. Electricity costs have increased by 23.5%, and communication costs, including internet and phone, have increased by 19%. The budget includes funds to operate and maintain the new Town Hall 1928 building for 4 months. It should be noted that next year this facility will need to be funded for the entire year. Calls for service in the fire department have increased significantly, resulting in higher contractual payments to the volunteer departments. Accounts in the fire department budget have been increased to reflect actual spending. High priority items excluded from the 25-26 budget. There are many items that have been reduced or eliminated to reach the 3.5% budget target. The following items totaling $259,086 are not included in my recommended budget, but are high priority items that I would like to bring to the town council's attention. The police department fleet maintenance account does not include funding for any new patrol vehicles and the associated technical equipment to be installed in the new vehicles. The department's budget request called for the purchase of 2 marked and 2 unmarked vehicles totaling $147,486. The technical equipment associated with these vehicles totals $50,100. A part-time custodian was requested for the new Town Hall 1928 building and the new Town Hall Annex, current Town Hall. We currently have 1 full-time custodian to maintain the new Town Hall 1928 building, Old Town Hall Annex, and the Staples House by themselves. This amounted to a budgeted reduction of $11,500, as both buildings are expected to be up and running for 4 months in the next fiscal year. Hope Partners, formerly Services for the Elderly, requested $10,000 above their current funding. The additional $10,000 was not funded as it is above current service levels. Interville House requested $5,000. We currently do not fund Interville House, and the inclusion of this nonprofit organization would have been a new service. Funding for the Ad Hoc Sidewalk Committee survey and associated marketing materials totaling $35,000 was not included in this budget. Expenditures by object. I have separated the budget by object, which includes salaries, benefits, supplies, equipment, contractual, and utilities. The increase or decreases for each object are as follows. Salaries is an increase of 3.8%. Benefits is an increase of 2.8%. Materials and supplies is a decrease of 0.20%. Equipment is a decrease of 41.10%. Contractual is an increase of 4.6%, and utilities is an overall increase of 9.90%. The recommended total town general fund appropriation is $36,247,415, which is a 3.5% increase above the current budget. Debt service. The debt group of accounts includes appropriations to make principal and interest payments on the town's long-term debt obligations. The total amount recommended for the next fiscal year is $137 million. I'm sorry, I have a typo. Kat, could you read that one for me?
$13,716,271.
Thank you. Sorry about that. This is an increase of $2,290,003, or 20.04%. The funds in these accounts pay for the lease financing obligations, clean water fund loans, and the principal and interest due on the town's existing bonded debt. Funds are also included in this account for an interest payment on the debt service issuance plan for the fall of 2025. The debt proceeds will be used to pay for the expenses associated with the building of the new Farmington High School, the renovation of the 900 wing for the Board of Education central offices, road paving, the Westwood School roof replacement, the purchase of 2 fire apparatus, and the replacement of the HVAC systems at the police headquarters. Special services. The refuse collection budget includes the cost of collecting and disposing solid, bulky, and hazardous waste generated by town residents in the town's landfill obligation. The budget proposes a 3% rate increase of $8. The annual fee will be $276 per household. General fund cash appropriation for the capital budget. The town's capital improvement policy and town strategic plan were the policy guidelines that were in the forefront when formulating the CIP. The proposed general appropriation to support the first year of the capital improvement plan is $3,401,500. I'm also recommending 2 bond questions. In accordance with our financial forecast, bonding large projects and equipment on a consistent basis and adhering to our capital improvement policy enables us to fund our capital needs. To summarize these general fund appropriations, $1,594,000 of funds would be allocated to the Board of Education. General fund projects as presented by the Board of Education. $1,807,500 of funds would be allocated to the town's general fund projects, which are shown on the screen. Proposed other funding. These capital projects are being funded by other funding sources and not through the general fund or taxpayer dollars. These funding sources include donations, state dollars, user fees totaling $415,000. It would be $50,000 for the Tinty Barn improvements, $65,000 for recreation facility improvements, and that funds would be used to replace netting at the softball field at Tungus Mead. $300,000 for Meadow Road sidewalk improvements. Proposed bonding, highway and grounds, $1 million. Funds will be used to replace the original 1999 HVAC system that is no longer working and cannot be repaired. In 2023, the Town of Farmington commissioned an HVAC systems condition analysis report for 4 town-owned buildings: Farmington Town Hall, Farmington Police Department, Farmington Community and Senior Center, and the Farmington Highway Garage. The report determined that all 4 facilities needed significant renovation to bring existing systems, equipment, and control systems up to current construction and energy standards to provide reliable, consistent, and maintainable HVAC systems. Community services, $2,650,000. Funds would be used to replace the original 2002 HVAC system and to replace the original 2002 roof at the Community and Senior Center. I'm proposing to couple the HVAC system replacement project with the roof replacement at the Community and Senior Center. The Community and Senior Center roof is 23 years old, original to the building, and has leaks that frequently require repair. It is scheduled to be replaced in the 7-year capital plan. The ACUs are rooftop units and will be more efficient and economical if the roof is replaced at the same time as the HVAC system replacement. Total project cost is $2,650,000. Water pollution control budget. The Water Pollution Control Authority will hold a public hearing on the budget tomorrow, March 12th at 7 p.m. in person. The budget shows a 0% increase per residential and commercial sewer use fees. There is no increase in residential connection fees. Expenditure summary. The total recommended budget for fiscal year 25-26 is $136,956,169, an increase of $8,355,004, or 6.5% above the current budget. I will now call on Kathy Greeter, Superintendent of Schools, to present the Board of Education budget.
Thank you, Kathy. Good evening to our town council members and the Farmington community. It's my pleasure to present the 2025-2026 Board of Education recommended budget. The budget development process in Farmington is grounded in our strategic improvement documents each year. This alignment is critical to ensure our financial plan advances the implementation of our core improvement documents across all schools and all classrooms. Given our innovative programming and impressive student outcomes, this alignment has continued to serve our community, our families, and students well. From initial budget submissions to the refinement of our operating budget through school and program reviews, all requests, zero-based budgeting practices were utilized. This slide shows Farmington's mission statement, which promotes personal and academic excellence for all students, as well as the acquisition of all of the skills and dispositions outlined within our vision of the global citizen, or our VOGC, ensuring Farmington students lead the way now and in the future. Our core improvement documents are listed on this slide, and they serve as a strong foundation for strategic planning, teacher and administrator goal setting, hiring and recruiting, professional development, teaching and learning, operations, as well as today's budget recommendation or our financial plan. With our core improvement documents at the forefront of the development of this budget, here are the major themes or drivers of the 2025-2026 budget. The Board of Education's recommended budget maintains and advances academic excellence through innovative programming pre-K-12, promotes continuous improvement within operations and student-centered teaching, learning, and programming, supports contractual increases across many budget lines, more specifically in the areas of personnel, facilities, transportation, and all other contracted services, supports increased student need in the areas of academic and social emotional well-being, addresses restoration of funding due to 24-25 budget reductions, addresses significant cost increases across supply, equipment, energy, and many other accounts due to inflation, addresses continued state and federal legislative mandates required by law, factors in other grant funding to offset costs to mitigate the overall increase in the operating budget, contains costs through zero-based budgeting, reductions, and efficiencies to maintain and advance current programming, and maintains class size level in accordance with Board of Education policy. This slide provides an overview of the recommended operating budget for the 2025-2026 school year. The total recommended budget amount is $83,240,983 for a dollar increase of $3,696,744, or a percent increase over the 24-25 budget of 4.65%. Here are the major budget drivers by series, specifically related to the recommended 4.65% increase. In salaries, 2.82% of the 4.65% increase reflects personnel, contractual increases, class size, increased student need, and movement from grant funding to the operating budget. In services, 1.59% of the 4.65% increase reflects the transportation contract, and more specifically, increasing in specialized transportation due to student need and special services, contracted services, major projects and maintenance, tuition for increased outplacements, and electricity cost. Approximately 60% of the increase in the services series is due to increase in special services needs, which result in increased cost coupled with diminishing grant funding at the state level. In supplies, 0.04% of the 4.65% increase reflects restoration of funding of supplies due to 24-25 budget reductions and cost increases due to the economy. In equipment, 0.04% of the 4.65% increase reflects restoration of funding of equipment due to 24-25 budget reductions and cost increases due to the economy. In health insurance and liability insurance, 0.17% of the 4.65% increase reflects a slight increase in self-insurance based on projected paid claims. It is important to note self-insurance is an area of cost containment and significant reduction in the budget recommendation. In addition, liability insurance is a driver in these series due to higher cost of the new high school. For an overall increase of 4.65% over the 24-25 budget level. This slide shows the school district's commitment to fiscal responsibility. The rankings listed on this slide are statewide, including all school districts, with one spending the most and 166 spending the least. It is important to note that Farmington ranks 107 in the most up-to-date per-pupil expenditures reported by the Connecticut State Department of Education as compared to all other school districts in Connecticut, which is $985 less per pupil than the state per-pupil average, or a difference of approximately $4 million. Although we rank 107 in per-pupil expenditures, our schools and school district consistently rank at the top of leading schools and school districts in Connecticut and beyond across a variety of state and national rankings and outcomes. The first budget driver is salaries, the 100 series, which accounts for 66% of the total recommended budget. The budget increase in the salary line is 4.26% and reflects negotiated contractual obligations. This series reflects all of our association's salary increases for the coming year, which are highlighted on this slide. The next budget driver is insurance, or the 200 series, which accounts for 14% of the total recommended budget, with a slight 0.74% increase. The 200 series includes employee health benefits, providing 100% of expected paid claims with a high deductible HSA and coinsurance, as well as life insurance and long-term disability cost. Due to our collaborative work with the town of Farmington, we are providing excellence in healthcare and collaborating to create cost containment and reductions in self-insurance. Services is the next budget driver, the 300 series, which accounts for 16% of the total recommended budget. This is a very volatile series of the budget due to the categories of cost within this series. There is an increase of 10.39% in the services series. The account provides for special services, consultation services, and tuition costs for outplacements, major facility projects, K-8 summer school, and technology-based operational systems, as well as professional development. The increase is driven by special services costs due to increased student need, as well as supporting transportation services, facilities, and electricity. There is also restoration of funding across areas due to reductions in the 24-25 budget and increased cost across many areas of the services account due to the economy. Special services increases account for 60% of the increase in this series due to increased student need and diminishing state grant funding. The next series is supplies, or the 400 series, which accounts for 3% of the total recommended budget. The supplies series reflects a slight increase of 1.23% for restoration of supply funding due to budget reductions in the 24-25 budget approval process and increased cost across all areas of supplies due to the economy. The 500 series, or equipment series, accounts for 1% of the total recommended budget and reflects an increase of 7.37% due to the need for equipment, restoration of reductions in equipment in the 24-25 budget, and increased costs due to the economy. Dues and fees, or the 600 series, accounts for less than 1% of the total recommended budget and shows a 15.54% increase. This account includes memberships to organizations that support our strategic improvement efforts. The account also includes the Town of Farmington's negotiated liability, umbrella, and motor vehicle insurance for the school district. Insurance costs for the new high school is the main driver of the increase in this series. Here is a view of the entire Board of Education's recommended operating budget, all of which I have reviewed within this budget presentation. The Board of Education's approved capital improvement budget for the 2025-2026 fiscal year is $1,594,000. The capital budget for the school district was presented in detail to the Town Council on their February 25th, 2025 meeting. The capital improvement budget is created with the following short and long-term planning documents to ensure a proactive approach to maintenance and improvement in facilities and operations, our K-8 facility review reports, our 10-year security audit, all hazard safety and security plans, tools for schools reports, roof reviews, current legislative mandates, school leadership, and head custodian recommendations. It is important to note that you have some transfers within accounts in the current Board of Education capital budget on your agenda this evening. If approved, the recommended transfers will ultimately lower the Board of Education's overall capital request for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. This slide provides our 7-year plan for capital improvement. In summary, the 2025-2026 recommended budget maintains current programming and is responsive to our students' needs. Many Connecticut school districts are facing similar or higher budget increases in 25-26, and we are no exception. The recommended budget advances academic excellence while maintaining current programming and services pre-K-12. The budget supports contractual increases across many budget lines, specifically in the areas of personnel, facilities, transportation, and contracted services. Special services is a particular driver of this budget across various accounts and is a similar driver across all Connecticut school districts due to increased student need and the fluctuation of state-level grant funding. We are also restoring funding across several accounts due to 24-25 budget reductions. I want to also note that inflation is impacting cost across many budget lines and accounts. We have implemented zero-based budgeting, factored in projected grant funding, as well as reallocation of funding within the operating budget to offset or reduce costs to mitigate the overall increase in this budget. But there is some good news in this budget within self-insurance. Due to the collaborative work with the town of Farmington, we are providing excellence in healthcare while collaborating to create cost containment and reductions in the self-insurance account of approximately $1 million this year. The fiscal information presented and the reported district and student achievement results represent a value-added approach to strategic planning, improvement, and budget development. At all times, our strategic improvement efforts and our financial plan are centered upon our students, their needs, and their futures as self-aware individuals, empowered learners, disciplined thinkers, engaged collaborators, and civic-minded contributors. Thank you for your attention to this presentation and your thoughtful review of the recommended 2025-2026 Board of Education budget. I will turn the presentation back to our town manager, Kathy Blonsky. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Grand list. The grand list is broken down into 3 categories: real estate, personal property, and motor vehicles. The real estate account shows a 0.40% increase. The personal property account shows a 14.98% increase, and the motor vehicles account shows a 8.85% decrease. In summary, the grand list increased by 0.61%, or $27,544,992, for a total grand list of $4,535,966,760. Some items to note when looking at the grand list. The increase in the net taxable real estate is from apartment construction and development, residential development, and medical office construction. The opening of Jordan's Furniture contributed to most of the increase in the net taxable personal property. The motor vehicle list decreased by 8.9%, primarily due to a change in the valuation standard for the average retail value to the standardized depreciation schedule. This schedule is applied to the manufacturer's suggested retail price based on the vehicle's year. Revenue by category. I've broken down revenues into 9 categories: other property taxes, license and permits, fines and penalties, interest, grants, service charges, other, Westward's contribution, and fund balance. Other property taxes has increased by 0.77%. License and permits have increased by 12.9%. Fines and penalties have increased by 35.92%. Interest has increased by 39.70%. Grants have increased by 27.85%. Service charges have decreased 6%. Others have decreased 0.42%. Westwood's contribution has decreased 8.47%. The fund balance has decreased 33.33%. In summary, recommended non-tax revenues are $17,396,800, or a 14.56 increase over the current year. Some pieces of information to note. State and federal grants have significantly increased from last year. Based on the governor's budget, the town is projected to receive an additional $2,175,719 in state and federal grants. The Westwoods contribution account includes a $300,000 contribution from the Westwoods Golf Course to the operating budget to help support golf course maintenance expenses. Other revenue includes $747,636 in payments for other major users of the wastewater treatment plant. These payments represent their share of the cost of the wastewater treatment plant upgrade project completed in 2019. These payments will be less each year based on the 20-year repayment schedule. Interest has increased by $395,000, or 39.70%. I'm recommending that the town appropriate $800,000 from fund balance. Recommended tax and mill rate. The recommended general fund budget will require a property tax rate of 26.66 mils, which is an increase of 1.21 mils. In other words, $100,000 of assessed value equals $2,666 in taxes. The cost for the average homeowner with a house assessed at $301,455 is $8,037.97, an increase of $366 and 11 cents, or 4.77%. My staff and I stand ready to assist you in your budget deliberations during the upcoming budget workshops, and on the screen is the upcoming budget schedule. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our town manager and superintendent. I will open up the floor for public comment based on this hearing. You're more than welcome to come up to the dais, please. State your name, your address. You'll have 5 minutes, which we'll have on the clock in front of you. So when you see your time expire, if you can please stop your comment. Who would like to come first?
It was a race to the winner's circle, right? Hi, everyone. My name is Tony Andrioli. My address is 14 Glen Hollow Drive in Unionville. I'm a happy Farmington resident since last year, and I also happen to be the executive director of Hope Partners of Farmington, formerly Services for the Elderly. We changed our name because we were being confused for being the town. That's easy to do because our office is located in the senior center in town. And by the way, we're extremely grateful for that. It helps us with our budget, and it's a great spot for us to be in. But mostly, when we ask somebody for a donation, we tend to get why I pay my taxes. And I appreciate that, and so do I. But their taxes don't help us pay our budget, right? So I just wanted to share a few statistics with the council and maybe enlighten some other residents. We've been in this community, this year is 60 years of us serving the seniors, the homebound, and disabled. How do we do that? Nutrition, socialization, and safety at home. There's not a lot of things that I can say for certain, but this is one. If we are all lucky, we will be like Laura and have a Laura Day to be 100 years old. I can say, in fact, that we will all hopefully age. And age in a town that we raise our children, that we, built our homes, that we're proud to be in. And for 60 years, Hope Partners has played a huge part in serving those seniors. But like many nonprofits, we're at a place that is tough, and I think being a nonprofit has always been tough. But in today's world, grants are hard to find. People want to build a relationship. They don't just want to like what you do. They want to know that you're sustainable. And we're trying to be creative. Our total operating budget is $235,000. It used to be more. We've cut in every single place possible, even to our 2 employees. Hi. That's also me. And my girl over there, my right hand coworker, Cindy, raised her hand too. Why do we do that? Because we look at the community as a whole. What is best for our community? And that's the legacy of what we do. Even if it means a hit for us, right? And that's okay, but we have literally exhausted where to cut. And instead of our focus being our mission, serving people who are homebound, who need socialization, who need a knock on the door with a meal to check on them, our focus has been fundraising. And when I look around at some of my board members that are here, I'm not sure how they're still sitting. I hear the budgets you guys say, and I am absolutely exhausted over mine. 0.05 of any of that would be fantastic for Hope Partners. So I'm here standing before you, trying to give you a piece of who I am, begging you for a piece of what Hope Partners was built on, to support our requests. And I will mention, last year we asked for more, but we just want to be supported. We want to continue to do what we do, and we think that we provide a great asset working with the town, and we want to continue to do that. So thank you all for everything that you do, because I know you are all volunteers as well, so thank you for your service.
Thank you, Tony. Who else would like to come up to give public comment?
Hi, members of the Town Council. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak, and members of the community, thank you for being here to listen to the woes of all of us that want a piece of the pie. And I come to you, my name is Patricia Delaney. I live at 7 Florence Way. I'm here representing the Community Senior Center and the budget that we have that we're trying to use to support the seniors in town. And I noticed when we got our notices from you all, from the budget, beautifully done, by the way. Those are beautiful papers that you send out through the mail. Lots of color. I have a son who's a graphic designer, and I looked at that and went, whoa, this is really nice. But what I did notice is that you had the pie graph there. And as a teacher of 41 years, and Kathy was my boss at one point, I noticed that there was something missing from that pie that you were sending out, and that is the seniors. There is no piece just for seniors. Now, I notice we're under the social services, but as you hear, the people from Hope and the people from up the hill from us in their wheelchairs that come into the center of town, that's all under that one piece of, small piece of pie. And so I'm here to let you know a little bit about us and what we're asking for in this. I know that we're tucked under that, as I said before, that social service department is run by an expert, Nancy Parent, who does a wonderful job providing social services to those that are people who are shut-ins, people who don't have the ability to drive anymore, people who are disabled. And that isn't what you see normally at the senior center. What you see at the senior center are a group of people from the ages of 50 to just beyond our friend's age that you mentioned, the happy birthday, Miss Carrier. 103 was one of our oldest ones. And these are people that are mobile, albeit with walkers, maybe with wheelchairs, but they're out and they're able to move and they're able to get there. Under Nancy's and Nicole, who is our director of the Senior Center, of their creative planning, we've been able this year, and thank you to listen to us, Joe stops by once a month to check on the seniors and helps at the congregate meals. It's important. They're using really creative planning between Nancy and Nicole. We had this year an issue with the doors opening and closing. They're on a timer. They're electric. You push and they open like you would expect. However, a person with a walker doesn't quite get through with the speed as you or I would walking through. And before you get through, somebody's hit on the backside and landing on the walk. And we've had that happen, and we've had a couple of hospital runs because of that. And fortunately, they were able to increase that. And it's working. So I'm not going to hit you with that tonight, because I think that's one thing we can set aside for a while. Excuse me. But we also had a more interesting problem with the bathrooms. It is a community center, but it does say community senior center. And so when you go into a bathroom and you have a walker, how do you get in? So we electrified that. So those two issues were taken care of, and I'm very thankful for that. However, what we're asking for this year, and again, it's under the social services, so you're going to have to peek, just like I did, because we're not there. But what I wanted to share with you is we have two buses under there. One was a 14-passenger van, and the other, is one that is fitted for handicap. And we're asking for both of them. My last understanding that one was probably in the budget and possibly the handicap one is not. And the problem is these buses would have double services because they're...
Patricia, your time has expired.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so can I just finish my...
If you just, we'll be in contact when I'll get your full
Okay, I
story.
just wanted to be sure that those two things were in
Yep.
there.
If you want to leave it with Kat, she can make sure we can all get your notes.
Perfect. Thank you so
Okay.
much. I'll send her a copy of that.
Thank you very much, Patricia.
Okay, thanks so much again.
Anybody else would like to come up, please state your name, your address, and you have 5 minutes.
Good evening, council members. My name is Sarah Devlin. I live at 17 Brightwood Road right here in Unionville, and I am a junior at Farmington High School. So as a citizen of this town, I will be asking the following questions to express my concerns with the prospective budget cuts at the federal level and how that may affect Farmington citizens. So my first question is, what is the town council doing to plan for potential impacts of federal cuts for town programs and services?
At this, we only do a public comment, we don't do any
Okay.
answers. So if you raise your
Then my
questions, we can
next-
get back to you later.
Then my next question is, does the town know the total amount at risk in the upcoming budget at risk for federal funding cuts? And my next question and final question would be, what town programs and services are funded with federal funds, and how may those be impacted? Thank you.
If you want us to leave an email or an address with Kat, we'll make sure to respond to you. Anybody else like to come up to give public comment?
Good evening. I'm Mike Gursky. I live at 30 Silversmith Road in Unionville, Connecticut. I'm here with my wife Brenda this evening. And I'm here on behalf of Hope Partners. I recently joined the board in September of 2024. And I've been involved with several board meetings, several volunteer opportunities with the organization. And I'll I might be redundant with some of the things that Tony mentioned, but first thing is I'm thankful for the board members that we have. I'm particularly thankful for the efforts of Tony and Cindy and the work that they do with our organization, and with the help and generosity of the town relative to our budget. But one of the things that Tony mentioned was that our budget our total all-in budget's around $230,000. So when you look at it in kind of the grand scheme of things, in $136 million budget, if that was part of the town budget, it would be it'd be 0.1%, right, roughly, of the whole budget. And I only bring that up because the services that we provide as Tony mentioned, to seniors, whether it's Meals on Wheels, congregate meals, help for family shopping, which Dean DeLay does as an example with one of our blind residents in town. It's a significant service that people have not only, I don't want to say come to expect, because they would take it as an entitlement, and that's not what it is. They truly appreciate the service that Hope provides. But it's, as Tony mentioned, it's gotten to the point where we have a board, and when you look at our charter, it's not only our role is not only to support the ongoing services of Hope Partners and the services that I just mentioned, but it's also to look for opportunities to improve those services, look for other opportunities to provide services to seniors and elderly that we're not doing right now. And the fact of the matter is, having been on the board since September, we haven't had one conversation about that, because we focus a lot in the end on the budget and, frankly, fundraising. And so if that's going to end up being a focus of our board in order to keep this an ongoing proposition, it's a completely different profile and dynamic for board members that we're going to have to look for. We're not going to look for people that are here to come up with new ideas and support the community in that aspect. We're going to look for people that have professional experience in doing fundraising and running golf tournaments and things like that. And that's not what we really want to do. That's not our goal, and that's not our drive. So it's become a distraction for the board, and I think it's something that really needs to be addressed. And so I think one of the things that was mentioned, and it is something that's critical to the service that we provide, is the safety aspect of it. And so I know Brenda and I do Meals on Wheels, and I'm the wheelman. Brenda delivers the meals to our clients, and without exception, when someone comes to the door, they're just happy to see a smiling face, and if nobody answers, we report back, and then there's a lot of follow-up until we get to the bottom of why someone wasn't there to receive the meal. So it's really an important service that's provided. And I'll say from an efficiency standpoint, we have Tony and Cindy basically managing not only the whole Hope Partners proposition, but also coordinating 125 volunteers that support that effort and so on. So it's, when you look at a lot of the things that are going on right now in the federal government with efficiency and all that, we couldn't get more efficient with the way we run our organization than what we have right now. 2 people managing that level of service. So, and I guess the last thing I'll say, running out of time, is that a lot of these, most towns, this is a town service, and we're not suggesting that, but we're saying that we really need some help. And I think Tony was kind and polite relative to the budget, but it is a conversation we're going to have in order to keep this going and continue to provide the services that we do now at the level that we do. So thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you for your service. Anybody else would like to come up and make public comment?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for your service. My name's Harold Wortman. I'm at 42 Mountain Road, and I've been a Farmington resident for about 4 years now. I have 4 kids in the public school system, so I appreciate the quality of our schools. My youngest child, his name is Elliot, he's 5, and he's profoundly autistic. So he's a beneficiary of the special services that the budget is increasing significantly, right, under pressure. But what I wanted to talk about tonight was just, what I as a parent feel a little bit, and to bring it to you because you're my closest representatives. So as I was coming in, the headline pops up, 12,800 Department of Education staff being cut, okay? So that's 95% of the staff. Whether or not that comes to fruition or not, it's important to me to know what we're doing as a community to handle that. How is that going to impact us? And as I'm learning that every day, but I just want to know, for instance, 15 to 20% of the funding for special services is from the IDEA. It funnels through the state of Connecticut, comes to us. In some way, I'm still learning as a fairly new resident of Connecticut. But every state is different. But that funding, whether it's delayed or whether it's cut, is in jeopardy. And the percentage chance that something will happen is rising every day. My ask as a citizen of this community, and I appreciate your time once again, is to have a plan, to work with the state, to communicate that to our, your citizens, and I just want to know that we're going to be okay. Our services will not be cut, and if they are cut, what's going to happen in that case? I could extend that to any number of services of the elderly, of other children in our community that are in danger right now, right? But in my situation, that's what matters the most to me, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else inside the chambers would like to make public comment? Please step on up to the microphone and name and address, and you have 5 minutes.
Back up here. Good evening. I'm Jill Hammerberg, and I live at 1 Deer Run in Farmington. I am a really proud, longtime resident of Farmington. I'm a public school advocate, participant in various boards throughout the years, and I thank you for your devotion in creating this year's budget. I know personally what a tireless endeavor it is, and commiserate with the countless hours at the table you have spent already together. My question is, to your points, does the town have a plan to address likely funding shortfalls from the federal government? After all, human physiology reveals that what happens to one part of the body affects the whole system. What happens in Washington's Republican-controlled Congress will definitely impact residents here in Farmington. My hope is that you take this into consideration and show accountability as you move forward. Thank you for your very hard work.
Thank you. Anybody else inside would like to make public comment?
Tim Kelly, 62 Westview. I am not here to ask for money, so rest assured. If left unchanged, this budget plan presented will result in a 2-year tax hike of over 10% to all taxpayers. I believe this is excessive. Budget growth is like a cancer. It's best addressed early and with a careful surgical approach. It's a little surprising to see that we can't run the town municipal operations for under $3 million a month. The request is a 3.5% increase when it should be 3% or less based on target and history. To reach the 3% target only requires a reduction of $175,000. And I mean, we spend that much before breakfast in any given month here. I trust the team will show us how to thoughtfully do it this week. Of course, by far the biggest budget we deal with belongs to the school system. Last year, the school board came in with a huge budget increase in terms of additional dollars and personnel they wanted to add to the plan. We essentially gave them everything they asked for. We supported them with continued COVID level resource and funding forever. We even took money from the town rainy day fund and employee health reserve to close the plan. Despite having a large baseline budget, they are asking for even more headcount and a significant funding increase that is almost 50% above their target and practically double the inflation rate expected for the coming fiscal year to teach the same number of students. I'd like to think that with the experience we have in the superintendent's office and on the board, that we can come back with a better plan this week. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tim. Anybody else inside the chamber like to make public comment? Going once? Going twice? Kat, anybody online?
I do not see any hands raised.
All right, we'll give that 1 second just to make sure. Nobody out there and
No hands.
no hands, all right. Then I think we will close this public hearing at 8 o'clock. Thank you very much. We go on to items E. Any new items? We have none?
No new items?
No new items. And then another second tier of public comment, if anybody else wants to make public comment. We can open that up. Nobody inside here. Kat, anybody raising their hands for the second tier of public comment?
No hands raised.
All right. I'll ask for item G1, please.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the February 11th and February 25th, 2025 regular town council meetings.
Second?
We have a motion, a second. Anything needs to be replaced, fixed, or amended? Nothing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Very nice. You got 1 and 2 in 1 shot there, huh, Keith?
Yeah, I didn't know if that was allowed, but I went for it. Didn't want my shot clock, my timer to give up.
Swing for the wall. Any readings of communications or written appeals? We have none. We'll go on to report of committees. We'll start with the 1928. So as we all know, the work has started up at the top for our new town hall. KBE Building Corporation has completed selective demolition at the 1928 building, and they are starting the abatement. The 1928 Building Committee reviewed and approved the monthly invoice package at their February meeting. Although the project has just begun, the Building Committee is pleased with the construction progress to date. Our next meeting is March 25th at 4:30, and you can also go online. What's the address, Kat, for people to review what's going on?
1928building.org.
1928building.org. Thank you very much. And we'll go on to the Ad hoc Fire Station Committee, please.
We had 2 meetings so far. We have a 3rd meeting scheduled this upcoming week, if all holds. And our first, the last meeting was really trying to get into the actual, kind of the framework of the charge that we need to come up with. And I think we need one more. That 3rd meeting is going to be pretty important. I would assume, Amy, that we'll actually take the information we got from the first 2 meetings and really put forward, a recommendation.
Excellent. All good? Thank you very much. We'll go over to our Ad hoc Sidewalk Committee.
Our next meeting is next Tuesday, the 18th. We have not met since our last report, but I know that town staff is working on grabbing some numbers for us, and we will have more report at our next report.
Thank you. High School Building Committee.
Our most recent meeting was last week. It was a short meeting. We met to approve a change order to get light poles that would be tall enough to provide lighting at the new tennis courts. And that's what we approved. And our next meeting is next week on March 19th, 5 p.m., FHS Library.
Excellent, thank you. Any questions for anybody? We'll move on to the report of the chair. Well, Sunday was a big day for everybody as we sprung forward. It's nice to have a little bit longer daylight every day. But please, take time and a moment out of your day to test your smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors, and if possible, replace your batteries if needed. Also, the last several weeks here in town, we have seen 2 house fires. Recently, a wood storm that had trees go down across roads, taking out power lines, and then we had a water main break in the center. I just want to take a moment and thank our fire department, police, and our town highway for working so hard to keep us and our community safe by clearing the road, helping with detours, and obviously extinguishing those fires and making sure everybody's safe. And lastly, we have several new businesses here in town. Please go online to Explore Farmington, where you can learn about these new places that have just opened up. And we'll move over to Board of Education Liaison.
Great. The Board of Education last met March 3rd in a special meeting to select the search firm for the superintendent replacement process. They selected the Connecticut Association of Boards of Education Search Services to conduct that search to replace Superintendent Greeter. The applications are due April 9th. The full board is a member of the search committee. It's not so they created a subcommittee, but it's everyone on the board's a member of that. The next meeting of the board is March 17th, next Monday at 7 p.m. at FHS.
Thank you very much. They have a lot of work ahead of them to fill the shoes of Superintendent Greeter. Conservation Inland Wetlands.
The Conservation of Inland Wetlands Commission last met on March 5th and prior to that, February 19th. During these meetings, they have considered several town projects, one which I thought the council would appreciate is a location for a permanent location for the sawmill. So that way it can be stored, creating a new concrete pad, so that way it can be leveled and used. Also, a project to correct erosion of the swale along the Farmington River near the Culp Community Garden plots. Both of those were approved by Inland Wetlands, and at their last meeting, they also discussed and accepted an application for the concrete patio at the Westwoods Golf Course to expand the dining area. And then meeting before that, they approved the Meadow Road sidewalk and installation of a culvert along that way. So the town staff has been very busy with inland wetlands because there have been limited members of the public that have submitted applications, but the town has at least 5.
So when one quiets down, the other one picks up.
Yes.
Glad everybody's busy, but thank you for your report. We'll go over to the EDC, please.
Okay. A number of local businesses were awarded Best Places to Work by the Hartford Business Journal. There are 6 Farmington companies that were recognized in the small to medium employer category. One was the Walker Group, Child Health and Development Institute, Connecticut Wealth Management, and Interspace Commercial Environments. And the congratulations to One Digital and UHY LLP for being selected in the larger employer category. We have several new small businesses that recently opened. One is the Golden Mango Restaurant on Route 6, Curated on Route 4. Valley Fitness in Unionville was acquired by Elite Fitness Club. Holistic Health Code on Route 4. Carol's Lunchbox is moving to Westwoods Golf Course. Sally's Beats opened in West Farms Mall. And Farmington Valley Cigar Shop will open on Route 4.
We got lots of stuff going on.
Lots of stuff going on, yes. Our next meeting is in April.
Thank you very much. Report of the town manager, we have none. Oh, I'm sorry. TPZ, Dave.
Thank
My
you,
apologies.
Joe. Thank you, Joe. We had a meeting yesterday, Monday, but the two big kind of developments from the last couple meetings, one is that there's a new food truck regulation that's in our zoning ordinances. That was handled through a lot of input, at a public hearing, as well as staff coming up with a lot of research, kind of modeling what our ordinance should be. That has gone through and been approved. And there's already some activity regarding that ordinance where people are looking forward to those opportunities. The second was Camp Current, which is at 96 Batterson Park Road. They're a summer camp primarily, but they have asked through their application to the TPZ for the ability to have more functions there that would be complementary to their mission, but things that they could actually rely on for revenue generation and basically support their nonprofit aspects. Obviously, like we heard tonight, nonprofits have a tough time right now in this economy, and they're no different. And so with a lot of input from staff, Shannon and her people, they've come up with a tight-knit relationship that would control these types of activities that would be there. People from the public spoke in favor of the organization, and that did pass last night. And they'll be moving in that direction, over the next several months.
Excellent. Thank you. Now I can go over to K, which we have none. I don't believe we have any appointments. Any other appointments that I'm missing?
No.
All right, we are done with appointments. M for old business. We don't have any, so we'll go over to new business. N1.
Make a motion to set a public hearing for Monday, April 7th, 2025 at 7 PM in the the Town Hall Council Chambers and the Town Council's proposed budget for the fiscal year 2025-2026.
Second.
Motion second. Kathy?
Just a point of order that, just remember that it is a Monday night, and it will be the town council's proposed budget.
All right, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Make a motion that unobligated CIP balances be transferred for the purpose of closing out various inactive CIP accounts and covering shortfalls in other CIP accounts.
Second.
Motion second. Kathy?
You can see from the chart that you have the projects that would be from to the projects to. We periodically review our capital improvement projects account to determine which projects are complete but still have money available and which projects either completed and not have shortfalls. Once this is made, we need to request to the town council to approve the movement of unexpected balances from closed accounts to any accounts which need additional funding in order to cover shortfall. We've gone through the list of capital projects and determined that the projects in the from accounts listed above have been completed and that the unexpected balances are no longer needed. The projects in the to section are shortfalls at the current time and need additional funds in order to complete the project.
Excellent. Any questions for Kathy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Superintendent Greeter mentioned, it triggered something in my brain to ask a question. So the IAR cafeteria addition, it's going to that, is that in the structural architectural capital? Because it's not specifically itemized.
Okay, I'll ask Joe to answer that.
Thanks.
If you look at the transfer request, the first one is covering a shortfall.
Right.
And the second two, school code and safety and school construction, structural or architectural, those two were adding to their current balances. So that's what she was referring to.
Right, I'm just wondering, the IAR cafeteria addition, is that part of a request or is that it's not actually listed in the capital budget, so I'm just wondering which one it falls into.
Several years back.
Okay.
It was 4 years ago, and that project came in over budget at that time, and it was a bond project. And once the project had a delay at the end, I believe it was the last consideration, there was a problem with the glass or something.
I remember,
So the project
okay.
didn't close out for a couple of years. So this project was finally closed out, the retainage was paid. And this is the balance, the overage on the project.
Okay. So it's not part of this year's request, is covering a prior.
Right, just to cover
Okay.
something before, basically, it's taken place over the past 4 years.
Okay. All right, thank you. Is it possible on, like, when we discuss the budget during the budget workshops, I know that there are some other so-called banking accounts, to know just what the balances of those are, so that way we
Right.
have a full picture of given.
Right, we'll have that prepared, and the other thing we'll have on Thursday is when we discuss the capital in total, like the superintendent was saying and what we're saying, we think we can reduce some of the capital items after these transfers are done, so we'll have a list of that and what we can reduce.
Okay, great.
Just a suggestion on that, you all have your audit report.
Yeah.
If you look in your audit report, there's a whole section that lists every single project. It does give you the balances as of June 30th of last year, but a lot of those banking accounts, if you will, those balances will probably be the same balances that I would supply to you tomorrow night or Thursday night or whenever they're given to you. So that's probably a very good place to start, to look at the different projects. You also see, you'll see what's being covered in most cases by this transfer. You'll see some of the projects that do have the deficits in them. But it's towards the middle, probably back of your audit report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Any other questions?
I just have a quick question. I'm just wondering on the to list, does that cover all the overages on these projects, or are we just chipping away at stuff that needs to be taken care of?
It covers that, correct, Joe?
This will cover the majority of them.
Yeah.
There may be some, there are projects that are obviously ongoing, so that at the end of this year, there may be some more projects that have some overages.
But a good portion of them, a good portion of them, yeah, are covered.
Portion of, but there may be some projects. There'll probably be another transfer coming to you. It has nothing to do with overages. If there's just something we'd like to do, I had made reference during the February 25th meeting about some LoCIP funds that we were receiving, some grant funds we were receiving that we need to move in order to comply with the state. So we'll probably see another transfer motion, probably in the April meeting to cover that. But then after that, the next transfer motion will probably be in September, October of next year. Normally, this is done in the fall of each year, but some projects are being close to closing out, so we waited for that, and then we also waited to discuss the Board of Ed projects with them before we actually brought you this transfer.
Okay, thanks.
And
Just check.
if I can I just want to make sure, clear with Brian, I wasn't sure. What, did you ask, though, these two projects that are listed, that's.
No, in the two projects.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you listed.
the bottom half.
We're not chipping away with
Okay.
those. When we make the transfer, these are completely done.
These are
Oh,
all.
they're
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, that was what I was asking.
Yeah, that's what I
Exactly.
wanted to make
That's what I
sure.
was going to clarify too.
Okay.
So these are all, we crossed these off with this transfer.
Oh,
We
okay.
crossed them off, yeah, okay.
Anybody else?
And that also kind of takes the from projects, right? I mean, those are zeroed out now.
Right. Exactly. Oh,
Okay, so why don't, that was my question. Are they zeroed out or not zeroed out? And
Some of the from projects do have balances in them, and some of these projects are, what we call projects are ongoing. For example, we have a project that's called like dump truck. And we're always buying dump trucks, so we're never going to close it out. But if we have a balance left over from 1 year, we may move some of that money to cover another project. But in some cases, for example, the sidewalk, the Main Street sidewalk project, Kathy had referenced again back in the February 25th meeting that we received our reimbursement from the state of Connecticut. We were going to use that reimbursement was close to $800,000. We were proposing to use $300,000 we appropriated to another project.
on Meadow Road?
So
Yep.
there's still a balance in that account, and eventually that, you'll be able to move some of that money to other projects. So there are some accounts that aren't going to close out completely. The majority of them will close out. The two accounts will close out for the most part. There are some from accounts that still may have small balances in there.
I guess what would help me is to kind of understand that. I mean, that's why I asked, because I was kind of focusing on the Main Street project, so, and I didn't think that this zeroed it out, number one, and it didn't. And so I guess for us, it just, that knowledge that you have, it just doesn't seem to be here. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? We just see numbers and we talk about transfers, but we don't have the context. You just added the context, so.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but
No.
I would suggest to you that you look in your audit report for the most part, because that will give you an idea of how this works.
No, I understand, because I've looked at the audit report, so I totally understand what you're saying. I think I've talked from the audit report the last meeting. But I think just when we have this information, I think it would just be helpful to maybe just have a little more context, maybe another column that says what still remains in these things. I mean, versus trying to reconcile the audit report with this to the transfer. I mean, I just think we can be a little, I just would say, maybe we could be a little more, user-friendly to the information, would be maybe.
I can, currently there's about 10 pages of projects, okay? So to create the report is a little involved, but obviously I could update what that audit report is and provide it to the council at any time. I'd be happy to do that. Okay? So, again, your meeting tomorrow, for your meeting on Thursday, it's a 10-page report. It's on legal paper, it's a 10-page report. So, if the council wants that, I'd be more than happy to supply that to them. And that would give you, and actually if you approve this transfer tonight, I'll incorporate this transfer into that report and you can see what you did and what it looks like.
I think, though, Dave, I think what would probably be helpful, and I don't think it would be that difficult, I do understand your context of it, is that I think some of them is very self-explanatory. You have a road or remote, and you paid for it, and there's probably not extra money in that account. But the ones that are rolling type of accounts, and maybe on some of these, when we do the transfers, we could either have another column or a little note that shows those are what they're the more of the outliers, or something along that, just to have a little bit more context. Because to Joe's point, there's projects, there's money in accounts, there's projects that are transferred. It is a little bit complicated. The audit gives the whole thing, but for something like this, I think we could probably do a little bit more on a narrative that would probably simplify it and have everyone understand it.
Right, and I think that's what I asked for, because I don't need you to update a 14-page legal size spreadsheet. I'm not asking for that, but I think what Kathy describes is kind of closer to what I think, the user-friendly aspect of the information we need. Thanks.
Yeah, I think the only concern would be is, if I put next to a project, that the project's done, then the next year you see a request for that project again, you're going to say, well, that project is done. So from a transparency point of view, I guess, I think I would prefer to give you the report, and then you can draw your own conclusions as to what's done and what's not done, and how much money is in each account. So I think that's probably the better way to go, transparency-wise. So I will provide that report to anybody who would like it. I can either email it or I could print out a copy of it. It doesn't matter to me.
I mean, I think that's fine. I mean, you can email it and I can
good.
print the copy, or whoever would like one, but I certainly would take one.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Land tax returns. Yes. Make a motion to approve the below tax refunds, property tax refunds.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We do have executive session tonight, so we will come back on after executive session, but for people who don't come back on with us, I wish you all a good night. and-
We're not coming back on after executive session.
Okay. Then we will close out for the adjournment.
Yeah, you can, we'll come back out, but the camera won't be
Okay,
back
right,
on.
that's
That's
fine.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We'll come
Yeah,
back
that's
out.
fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Make a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss two items. One, personnel matters, and the other to discuss matters concerning the sale or acquisition of real property.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Question.
Yes.
Do we have to do this as separate motions, given that there's different people in each executive session?
It probably would be
Okay.
procedurally correct to do that.
I will rescind my prior.
Just a motion.
I was on a
to
roll with
amend
grouping
your
stuff
motion.
together, yeah. No, so I'll go 01, do it the right way. Make a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss personnel matters. In attendance at this executive session shall be members of town council, town manager, assistant town manager.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?